Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it very much. Mr. Dow, one of the aspects of tourism that I'm interested in is pushing tourists out beyond the typical tourist destinations. How can we either attract international visitors to new locations or capture and push those traditional destination visitors out beyond those locations to new cities or destinations for an extra day or two? In other words, we want them to visit Disney, but we want them to stay a couple of extra days and visit our sandy beaches on the east and the west coast of Florida. So do you have any ideas on how we can do that?
I have many ideas. First of all, when those visitors come to an Orlando, a Miami, a New York City, a Chicago, an LA, for the first time, that is where they stay. Then next time they take, and they'll say maybe 7 days there and 7 days elsewhere. Third trip, 2 days there and elsewhere. And I think Brand USA allows you to promote those areas because the travelers today are looking for the authentic destination, the real America, the history, to get to the, get out to the Nebraskas, the Tennessees, places like that, and to other areas in Florida that have the real life of America. So this is a huge opportunity. And if you look at what Brand USA's advertising is doing, it's showing those areas. It is not pushing the Las Vegases and the New Yorks. They're part of the travel, but it's pushing people to those areas who don't have the wherewithal to attract those markets.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Rao, I was pleasantly surprised to learn from your testimony about the enormous impact that tourism has on the restaurant industry. Florida has a large array of unique culinary attractions such as seafood, Cuban food, Greek food from Tarpon Springs, where I'm from, and just to name a few examples. Can you expand on how tourism has a multiplying economic factor and how that benefits the restaurant sector and local economies?
Absolutely. Culinary tourism, which is the industry term, is a rapidly growing area for the industry. In other words, both domestically and internationally, certain regions are obviously famous for certain cuisines. And in terms of the marketing mix to potential travelers, it's very important because dining is such an important integral experience associated with travel that the operators and the visitors and convention associations market specifically the cuisines for which these different regions are known. That's not to say other cuisines aren't important, but it is true when you do the culinary research that certain travelers to certain areas expect to have certain cuisines highlighted in those travel experiences in those areas.
Thank you. Mr. Dow, we touched on this a couple of times, but this is so very important. Canadian visitors are an enormous source of tourism to Florida. As you know, we have the Blue Jays in Dunedin, Florida. Last year, Canadians made more than 3.5 million visits to Florida and spent more than $4 billion in the state. Seasonal Canadian visitors are integral members of our local communities and economies. Thank God for them. Canada is one of the countries in which the Custom and Border Protection operates pre-clearance custom facilities. Understandably, CBP is cautious about discussing resources levels, of course, for security reasons, as you know. However, airlines are regularly denied additional pre-cleared trans-border flights from Canada to the United States because of capacity issues. Can you speak to the benefit of the pre-clearance customs program, particularly from Canada? And I know you touched on it a couple of times, but it's so very important.
Well, I think the pre-clearance is extremely important in the areas that's going on right now because it allows you to look at the traveler in their area, and if you want to isolate certain people, it gives you that capability. But it takes the log jam off the Customs and Border Protection people who I said are overstressed, and I think that's a huge opportunity. I was just yesterday in Tampa, just down the road from you, and they're building a brand new international terminal. They could only handle 300 passengers. Now they can handle 1,200. And that, when you promote in Greece to Tarpon Springs, the great area there through Brand USA, those people can now get in. So if we can get them pre-cleared in other areas, it will certainly add to the capability and capacity of Customs and Border Protection.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I yield back.
Jim, thank you, and members, thank you for the opportunity to be here today as the President and Chief Executive Officer of Visit Florida, our state's destination marketing company. I probably have one of the best jobs in the world. 825 miles, the most beautiful beaches in the world, the theme park capital, home of American golf. the home of American Cruise Lines, award-winning state parks, and incredible communities from Jacksonville to Tampa to the Florida Keys. And when you think tourism, when you think Florida tourism especially, you think it's all fun and games. And in fact, the millions of visitors that come to Florida every day are enjoying just that. But it's also the #1 industry in our state, and it's a key economic driver, the biggest industry in our state. And I can tell you that the travel and hospitality industry in the state of Florida was the key industry that led Florida out of the recession of the last several years. It's our vision to make Florida the #1 travel destination in the world, and we're in a pretty good place to do that. Last year, we had our second consecutive record year of 89.3 million visitors to the Sunshine State. Over 500 million vacation nights were spent in Florida, and those visitors spent $71.8 billion on hotels and shopping and dining and attractions around the state. To put that into perspective, there are more people visiting the Sunshine State today than live in 11 U.S. states. It's a huge economic engine. It's a huge driver of Florida's economy. Those visitors will spend $196 million today in Florida. And that generates $4.3 billion in state sales tax collections, 23% of all the state sales taxes collected in the Sunshine State. Those visitors, that 1.6 million people that are visiting Florida today, are employing 1,053,000 Floridians. It's a huge, huge driver of the economy, and that number has been growing like the visitor numbers. 36 months of consecutive growth in the hospitality sector in the Sunshine State. As I look to the future of Florida tourism, I can tell you our next major benchmark is trying to get from 89 million visitors to 100 million visitors. And what does that look like? I can tell you that the economic impact of reaching to a goal like that is significant. We'd be able to create another 121,000 jobs. Average salary of those jobs, according to Florida Tax Watch, would be over $43,000 per person. So they're, again, big, real jobs for the Florida economy. Would generate increase in personal income in Florida of $5.3 billion a year. So for Florida to be able to reach that kind of economic number and be the #1 travel destination in the world, we're obviously continue to be very aggressive in our marketing efforts, both domestically and internationally. And we're fortunate to have a governor and a legislature in the state of Florida that recognize the importance of tourism and the importance to our economy and to job creation. And they just funded our organization for next fiscal year to 18% increase in our funding. We know tourism marketing works. Works at the state level, works at the city level, and it works at the national level as well. I can tell you, for us to achieve our vision, the only way we're going to be able to do that is by seeing a huge increase in international visitation. Fortunately, in the last 5 years, international visitation to the state of Florida has more than doubled, so it's growing, and that's very, very good news. We had 10% of all Canadians visited Florida last year. We had a record 10 million overseas visitors. But the only way we're going to be able to continue to grow moving forward is with the help of Brand USA. I can tell you that I very much, along with the entire Florida tourism industry, appreciate your support of Brand USA and the Travel Promotion Act. Visit Florida was a founding partner of Brand USA, and our organization, along with 50 other organizations in the state, contributed over $8 million to Brand USA to help them be successful. Again, destination marketing works, and we know that if we help Brand USA promote the United States of America, a rising tide raises all ships, and Florida will be a beneficiary. But the success of that organization is critical. And as we heard from Roger Dow earlier, from 12 to 14% increase in intention to visit the United States as a result of their initial campaigns. That marketing is working. Again, it's not only good for the United States, it's not only good for Florida, it's good for all the destinations around the country. And what they're doing now with full funding is going into the really a second year of their kind of fully operational marketing program, is going to allow them to market in areas and markets that are key and incredibly critical to Florida's future success. Marketing in Brazil, Canada, China, Mexico, the United Kingdom. So at Visit Florida, and I can tell you not only our organization, but the entire Florida tourism industry is 100% committed to the success of Brand USA. And we believe that with your continued support of Brand USA, we'll be able to, again, see Florida tourism industry numbers increase, but also international visitation to all of the United States increase as well. So thank you for your support, and we very much appreciate it.